What up, what up, what up, what up, world? You already know what time it is. Your boy Mac Mizzle, the host with the most. Don't need to brag. No boast. All I do is give a toast to the real folks who done paved the way in a real way for us players to play.
Go ahead and skip this ad.
And I had to talk to y'all about this whole history of viruses thing, you know what I'm saying? So, the first virus that was ever really found out there in history was the cholera virus, right? Actually, it was a tobacco leaf extract, which virologists discovered in the 18th century. This is the reason why I guess you could say tobacco causes cancer, right? Because around the same time they were starting to introduce tobacco smoking, or pretty much smoking on tobacco products. So in 1892, Dmitry Ivanovsky used one of the filters to show that SAP from a disease tobacco plant remained infectious to healthy tobacco plants despite having been filtered. Martinus Burgikin called the filtered infectious substance virus. And this discovery is considered to be the beginning of virology. So that's a virus in itself, you know what I'm saying? Like cigarette smoking, anything that causes cancer would be considered a virus. You know what I'm saying? So, but the first one known to humans was the cholera virus in Cuba. Where they thought they were getting people were dying because of these mosquitoes. So this mosquitoes are pretty much killing people. So they went out and started destroying all the mosquito nests, which is why, which is why they, which is why they eradicated the virus by, well, the people weren't dying as much, but that's what they believed, you know, was coming from the mosquitoes. You never know, man. Maybe it was put out there in the atmosphere because people have been stung by mosquitoes ever since, you know, they got diagnosed. There's a lot of things to be considered when it comes to that as well. But all in all, the reason why I wanted to make this show is because, you know, we all have viruses in us, you know what I'm saying? If it's not physical, it could be mental. past something. That's what they say, so to speak. So when you talk about virus dying, virus can't really die. They can't thrive independently. Instead, they must invade a host organism and hijack its genetic instructions. So when we talk about the genome, the human genome, it's very intelligent. Your body has an intelligence in your brain as well too. And your body knows to fight off certain things that are not good for it naturally. As a natural healing aura through the cells and everything like that. So when you look at it, smallpox, SARS, influenza, Ebola, leprosy, polio, which or anything like COVID. Probably like COVID. Ramifications of having all these deaths equally at once. All the effects of us. If you have a 99.6% chance of recovery, so-called COVID-19. How is it not playing? And as it relates to what happened in DMX, it's very strange that DMX got knocked off. People think DMX didn't get hit up. But y'all gotta look at it like this. All these celebrities that died too young and passed through it. It ain't always natural causes or overdoses. Or it could be an overdose, but sometimes it's deeper than that, Sometimes it's like certain things that cause them to overdose. There's certain things that are mixed with whatever they're doing cause them to die. In the case with Michael, that Conrad actually went to jail. His doctor said he had too much of something. He had fentanyl. So you gotta think about these diseases, these viruses, these drugs, other shit that we gotta look at. So just something I want to show y'all MC Shan right here. He's breaking it down. And for years and years, man, I know it's unfortunate. It is what it is. People that are well into their 60s and all that, you know what I'm saying? So, gotta think about all that before we jump the gun and say DMX overdose. Let's go ahead and listen to that. MC
They just making a whole DMX. He had something else. That niggas that fucking get high like that, nigga, I've gotten high for years. You don't overdose, motherfucker. The fuck out of here. DMX overdose. If he overdosed, he was trying to kill his motherfucking self. All the OGs out there know who MC yeah, so MC Shan, he had a lot to say about DMX. He seems to think that, DMX did not overdose on drugs, crack cocaine, or whatever drug choice, allegedly. But he had a lot to say, and I'm gonna leave this clip with you guys. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, and until next time, peace. One time for your mind, two times for your soul. This shit ain't none of my business, but I motherfucking see a lot of shit going up. That motherfucking DMX overdosed. Let me give y'all motherfuckers a little bit of history on cocaine. Some of you niggas that never did cocaine, you're talking to a fucking expert if you don't see what the fuck my nose look like, right? It's very hard to overdose on fucking cocaine and crack unless you mainlining that shit. When you mainline that motherfucker, that's when you overdose. Look around. Y'all have really never seen a motherfucking crackhead overdose. You've really never seen a nigga that was sniffing overdose, okay? Every time you take a hit of cocaine, your heart rhythm goes fucking fucked up anyway, because that's what the drug does to you. It fucking brings up, alright? So if any of you are out there say, oh, DMX overdosed, it wasn't an overdose. It just would have happened that he had a heart attack while he was getting high, because the cocaine might have motherfucking did something to whatever what was going on, but it wasn't because of the fucking cocaine. You know how many times I done motherfucking got high like a motherfucking, I'm a skinny nigga, y'all see that? Been skinny. I used to sniff 8 balls by my motherfucking self, and there'll become a point and when I'm sniffing this 8 ball, my heart start jumping out my motherfucking chest, and I know what to do for that. I'd go outside and freeze the motherfucking cold in my drawers and stand on the motherfucking patio. It's really a mental thing when it comes to your heart, because the paranoia and the mental shit is really a mental fuck up where you start thinking something is wrong with you, and then your brain starts blah 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 blah. But then when you sit down and relax like I used to have to do when I sit on my patio, my fucking drawers in the freezing cold, and then once my heart start going back right, you know what? I go back in the house and guess what? As many times as my heart did that rhythm bullshit, I'm here talking to you today. And so, I'm just saying that y'all stop putting shit on my nigga. Stop putting shit on him. Don't, just because a nigga got high, don't mean that motherfuckers, and so what if he was getting high? Only way you gonna really overdose on cocaine, motherfucker.
See, that's the thing I don't understand, because we should be glorifying us getting high, but at the same time, yeah, I'll pick that. Some people are, they just like to get high. So what we do is try to look the other way, or act like, it's a part of our moral fabric to just like, sympathize with the crackheads and all that. Listen, that ain't what it's about, man. That's not what it's about. But I do sympathize because at the end of the day, it's DMX. You don't distort the narrative. He's trying to say that people are saying that DMX died because of crack, but he did not. He died because he had a heart attack. So there was no overdose. There's no drugs or anything found in the system. So how could he have overdose of that? See the way the narrative is pushed. So now everybody gonna say, oh, he did smoke crack, so I had something to do with it. Yes, but I go smoke a joint now and go outside and get hit by a fucking bus. Did the joint have something to do with it? Or did the fucking bus that hit me going at hundreds or whatever miles an hour is going on? Just really think about it. So let's go ahead and listen to MC. Finish listening to MC Shad. It's all cracked up now.
It's mainlining that shit, sniffing that shit, might motherfucking add cause to whatever heart problems you got going on, alright? But that's about it, sniffing the shit, you know what I'm saying? And like I said, you never seen a motherfucking crackhead motherfucking die of an overdose. Why? Because the high only lasts fucking 15 fucking minutes. That's why you see crackheads keep going and getting fucking new crack. Because you don't overdose on this shit. You just want more of it. And you're talking to a fucking expert right now. And I don't want you motherfuckers to be putting that shit on my nigga D. Alright? Fuck that. The same fucking label he wore on his back, I'll wear the same motherfucking label. Alright? But I want to put y'all niggas up on some shit, nigga. Rarely do you see a motherfucker overdose on some cocaine unless he's mainlining that motherfucker. Alright? You smoking crack? If you motherfucker sniffing may add on to it, or maybe smoking crack may add on to some shit that you got going on already. Alright? And to me, I'm lucky because I got atrial fibrillation. If anybody knows what the fuck that is, that means I could be sitting here right now, not smoking crack, not doing anything, and my heart would just start going boom, 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 boom. I had it since I was a kid, but I know how to control that. You take a deep breath. Anybody that has atrial fibrillation out here, let me tell y'all a little trick that works. You take a deep breath, you hold that motherfucker, and then you push out until you have no air in your lungs, right? And what that does is, once you push all the air out in your lungs, your heart has to go boom. It has to restart itself once you push all your air out. So anybody that has atrial fibrillation, instead of taking all that fucking medicine that they have out here, what you do is you go to a quiet place, because lots of times the noise and the aggravation around you will keep your shit going. And so what you do is you go to a quiet place. You sit back, you take a deep breath, and you fucking, until your lungs can't fucking take it anymore, and then you just blow out. Until your heart goes boom. 2 or 3 times of this, you'll learn this technique. And anytime you have atrial fibrillation and your heart starts jumping, and fuck running for the medicine is no good. This is a condition, it's just aggravating. It's not life-threatening, but it's an aggravation to you. And this is coming from a nigga that sniffed a lot of cocaine, okay? So, if anything, I should have been overdosed, because I do have a fucking heart arrhythmia already. So stop putting that shit on my nigga. And the universe takes care of itself. God takes care of his own, Okay? So you'll be alright, my brother. And whatever happens, happens. You and your creator know what the fuck going on. My prayers up to you, brother. But the rest of y'all that never fucking touched a drug in your life, take it from Mr. fucking Cocaine himself and stop putting that shit out there. Alright? Like I said, if anything, it wasn't cocaine or whatever the fuck you say. D had a problem already. Okay? That's what the fuck it was. Appreciate y'all. It's your man Shizzle. One time for your mind, two time for your soul. Just trying to educate the people on what the fuck going on. And all you people out there with you know what the fuck I'm saying, cause you got it. Try that technique that I just showed you. And fucking you'll see it'll work. Appreciate you. One time for your mind, two time for your soul. Ain't nothing standing between you and success, but air and opportunity. It's your man Shizzle with a Wiz. Appreciate you.
I knew there was something fishy about the whole thing, man. So now that's confirmation for me. DMX did not die of no overdose. And if y'all think he did, y'all don't really know the game, man. Richard Pryor smoked a whole kilo of cocaine in a what did he say? In a weekend. He sniffed a whole kilo of dope and still didn't die. Lit his ass on fire. Ran through the motherfucking place on fire. And still didn't die. And you gonna tell me? DMX died because he was smoking crack. Come on, man. I was born at night, but one last night. So now it was said that he took the shot the week before his passing. Now we gotta ask ourselves, do you have anything caught up with something or something like that? Or anybody to labels? Everything up to date, whatever the label is like. Just so happened the narrative that they put out the day after he died. Beyonce and Jay-Z buy his masters for $10 million. And cleared his debt out of the death trap. It was a total falsehood. False narrative, right? So just think about all that. You know what I'm saying? When you talk about being around real people and understanding real situations, you can't deny the fact that DMX is going through some things. He had a lot of debts. In and out of jail. Not a creative control rush. People are just using DMX for his name and his fame. And I guess he was just using himself at that point. And some concerts and shit, he looked like an empty vessel to me. It's like the DMX of old. We gotta really take that into consideration and look at that whole thing, and ask ourselves, how did DMX really die? And if he died of the virus, why are they giving these vaccines to people knowing that these side effects might happen? saying that black should be. It said something about black should be. Oh yeah, it said racism is about public health, right? Says the CDC. So what do they mean by that? Racism and public health. Let's take a look at that. By definition, declaring themselves a health threat because
threat. On the agency's website, its director, Dr. Rochelle Walensky, with a powerful commentary saying the pandemic highlights generations of the negative impacts of racism on public health. Joe Ripley joining us live from Midtown right now. And Joe, how does the CDC, how are they working to address this issue here?
Well, first, Sheba, they have acknowledged it, the CDC, saying that they are encouraging public discussion of racism and public health through a new online portal they've set up. The CDC also promising to send COVID-19 funds and to make investments in healthcare infrastructure for minority communities, as well as expand internal efforts to become a more diverse agency. CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky wrote the agency is studying how race impacts an individual's health, stating, quote, over generations, these structural inequities have resulted in stark racial and ethnic health disparities that are severe, far-reaching, and unacceptable. As the nation's leading public health agency, CDC has a critical role to play to address the impact of racism on public health.
If it's in chronic diseases, if it's in infectious diseases, if it's in environmental issues, they all impact people of color disproportionately.
You heard there from Carlton Duncan, former COO of the CDC. He's urged the CDC in the past to acknowledge racism as a public health threat and to take action against it, Sheba.
And Joe, there's a lot of work being done at the local level to address inequities in racism and health. Who exactly is keeping track of all of that?
Well, the group, the American Public Health Association, is trying to keep track of all of the local entities and health boards that have declared racism as a public health threat, emergency, or crisis. So far, they've tracked 200 cases nearly, including a DeKalb County Board of Commissioners.
All right, Joe Ripley, thank you.
We have to declare racism a public health crisis.
We already have sufficient data to declare structural racism a public health crisis that it is.
Racism is a public health crisis.
Well, the lefties, they were clamoring for it, and the CDC finally did it. They caved into the months-long campaign by the left to declare racism a, quote, serious public health threat. Forget about COVID-19. This is absolutely what the CDC should be focusing its time on right now. They're nailing it. They should focus on this. The agency is saying in a statement that racism, quote, directly affects the well-being of millions of Americans and the health of our entire nation. Joining me now is Dr. Ben Carson, founder and chairman of the American Cornerstone Institute and former HUD secretary. Doctor, thank you very much for joining us tonight. I got to ask you this. In your expert medical opinion, because those words should matter, is racism a serious public health threat?
Well, you know, it would be funny if it wasn't so serious, Pete. And, you know, a few weeks ago, you probably remember the French said the greatest danger facing them was a woke America. I mean, that's where the real health crisis is going on. I was looking at a news story not so long ago, and they were interviewing college students from other parts of the world. And one of the questions was, would you like to come to America? And they all said there was a time when they wanted to. That time is past. What happened to the shiny city on the hill that was the goal for people all over the world? And we have to be very concerned about what's going on right now. You know, America, the idea, not America, the place, it's so important. As far as the CDC is concerned, it used to be a place of science where people did things based on evidence and on facts. And when you start injecting politics into it, it really damages the credibility of that organization. And that's problematic for us all.
Yes.
In terms of public health, that's the real hazard, injecting politics into science.
Yeah, just like when you pack the court.
See how dumb Ben Carson is. Politics is science, no brainer. It's called political science for a reason. So when they're talking about racism, they're talking about the mental part of health. You know what I'm saying? So how does that discredit? If anything, it makes sense. But if they want to talk about racism, they gotta talk about white supremacy as a whole. It's the real virus, so to speak. Because it all comes from Europe. Bubonic plague, smallpox, SARS. SARS came from Asia. Influenza. You know, all those old diseases like tuberculosis, scurvy. You know, all those old diseases. We didn't create that shit. That shit came from somewhere else. So most biologists say viruses are not living. They're made out of, and they're not made out of cells. They can't keep themselves in a stable state. They can't grow, and they can't even make their own energy. But what they can do is replicate and adapt to their own environment. They're more like androids instead of organisms. So think about it. Y'all have one of these pockets of technologies getting destroyed. We got this respiratory. It's called virus. They got a history of fucking with us. The history of lying to us. CDC is responsible for a lot of this. What's going on now? Racism is a serious epidemic. It's true. Racism.
Or you delegitimize an institution our country requires and needs. Same thing with the CDC here. Same thing with the word racism. When you call everything racist, it dilutes the actual meaning. But when Democrats actually act like racists, it seems like they're forgiven for it. Remember this?
Governor Northam has led the most forward-looking Virginia ever, with real progress on our original sin of racism and with the abolition of the death penalty.
So that's a representative. Remember, Ralph Northam was caught wearing blackface, and now he single-handedly somehow removed Virginia's so-called original sin of racism. So you can be forgiven if you sufficiently bend to the woke folks for the mistakes you've made, never the other way around.
Well, you know, what is so serious here is that we are doing exactly what needs to be done to move to socialism and communism. And that is replacing God with government.
Amen.
And as government expands, as Ronald Reagan said, our freedoms decrease. That's what's really going on. People need to wake up. And, you know, that's why we developed American Cornerstone Institute, so we can bring back those principles, remind people of who we are as Americans. We, you know, a godly principle is to love your neighbor. A woke principle is to cancel your neighbor. Is that really where we want to go? When you look down the road, those two pathways, they lead to very different places. We now still have a chance to change the direction of this country, to save it for our children and our grandchildren. We need to stop being selfish. That means also not massively raising the debt, because who's going to have to pay that? Not us older people. We're going to be dead and gone. It's going to be our children and our grandchildren. We're ruining their lives. That's not fair. Thomas Jefferson said it was immoral.
Amen. When we
Did he just say he's going to ruin his kids' lives because the CDC said declared racism a mental health issue? So he doesn't believe racism is a mental health issue. He rather love that neighbor. That neighbor's a pedophile. That neighbor's a piece of shit. If you try to make it work for my neighbor, that neighbor's gonna be shit. Still keep it's a flawed, skewed way of thinking. It still creates division, it creates uncertainty, it creates immoral ways of thinking, it creates inequity, it spews show imperialism against colonialism. So, I say all that to say the real virus is white supremacy, man. Once we get that out of our head, we can get this fucking disease from above us, which is the COV. You know what I'm saying? Erase that white supremacist mindset, and you will be just fine. Because the world, universe, ain't playing no games no more. It's crunch time. It's your boy,